Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So this is such an exciting wrap up, I feel like, because this is the month that I got out of my slump. So we actually read some incredible books this month. We only had 2 books that were below 4 stars, which is insane. I read 7 books this month. When I'm filming this, it's the 28th and I am in the middle of 3 other books. So hopefully I can finish one more of those. And I just wanted to quickly say to stay tuned for the next couple weeks and videos that come out, because a lot of these books are going to be in them and there's just some really exciting ideas and videos coming out, so definitely stay tuned for that. Let's hop right in, shall we? The first book that I finished, I was like almost about to finish this in February. Yeah, I finished this on March 2nd, so I almost finished it in February. But Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is a romance, you guys. This is just such like a soulmate love story book. I feel like a lot of times I read more like rom-com-y, like silly little books, but this is like a love story. I feel like it's so deep. I gave this one a 4.25. It was so incredible. Like, this book is basically perfection, but it just didn't give me that 5-star feeling, and 4.25 is just what felt right to me, so that is what we went with. But the premise of this one is Brianna is our main girl and she is getting divorced from her ex, obviously, and her brother is on a list for a kidney donor, and he like really needs one because he is like just not doing the best. Simply, there is a new doctor that comes into their hospital ER thing named Jacob, and Jacob and Brianna kind of get off onto like a rough foot. Like, they bump into each other and just perceive each other as being in the wrong. So Jacob writes Brianna a note being like, hey, like, I'm so sorry, I have social anxiety, I'm sorry if I was awkward, this is like what I meant to do and I'm sorry, whatever. So you get like the letter exchanges between them, and I love that so much, and their romance is just so incredible. I really loved both of the characters in this book. And with this story, as I mentioned, Jacob does have like social anxiety, and Brianna is just such an amazing character that she has such a good way of helping him through that and like doing things that has his best interest in heart. Simple things like, hey, do you want to eat in this spot instead of in the big loud noisy cafeteria, you know, just things like that subconsciously. Like, she just knows that's what he needs and just does it without even really thinking about it. And I really enjoyed this one because there is lots of like subplots going on. They do have to fake date for something, and I really enjoyed that because I felt like the fake dating was like more realistic than some other stories I've read where the fake dating's like you know. And I also enjoyed the side plot of her brother's story, which obviously it was more sad because he needs medical help, but I still really enjoyed learning about their families and all of that. A very, very solid read. I definitely recommend this if you want like a deeper, more emotional romance than just like a light, fluffy rom-com. And then I read No Exit by Taylor Adams. This book, I will never be stopping at a rest stop now. This centers around a rest stop in the middle of winter. I want to say it's Colorado. That could be so wrong though. So our main girl, I don't have the books. Darby. Her name is Darby. Yes. Got it. Our main girl, Darby, she's trying to drive home for Christmas, I think it is, because her mom is in the hospital, like in critical condition. So she's trying to get home to see her mom that's in the hospital, and the snow is like extreme. Like, it is just such bad weather conditions out. So she stops at a rest stop, and at said rest stop there are other people also stuck there. And in the parking lot, she's trying to get phone service, and she sees a little girl trapped in someone's van. So she has to figure out whose van it is and who at the rest stop she can trust and can't trust, and basically fish out who kidnapped the child. And this story, it was like, the pacing was a little bit weird to me. It was only in that night, so it felt slow because the whole book was that, but there was so much that happened, and I feel like at some points it did get a little like, does this really need to be happening? Like, kind of drug out and just like too dramatic, I guess we could say. But overall it was so entertaining, and I had no clue what was happening, and what even happened looking back is literally crazy. Yeah, it was just a very suspenseful thriller, and I just had to keep reading because I had no clue where it was going and what was happening. I ended up giving this one a 4-star because I did really enjoy it, and I felt like it was really bingeable to me. But with that, I could see how people don't like it because, like I said, it was kind of like dramatic, and some of the like twists and like little reveals were just kind of like Are you serious? Overall, I really enjoyed it. This next book, you guys, I originally rated it a 4.25. I don't know. It might need to be bumped up to a 5. It might be a 5-star. I don't know. I think about it so much. Like, I've been thinking about it non-stop, but I don't really know if it's a 5.5. I think it's like a 4.5. It's like so close though. The Right Move by Liz Tomford. Oh my gosh. This book, I almost said a hockey romance. If you watch my getting out of a slump reading vlog, the entire time I was just kept thinking it was hockey. Like, I just kept gaslighting myself into thinking that it was a hockey book. No, it is so basketball. So it's basically about this famous basketball player, Ryan Shea, and his sister's best friend, Indy, needs a place to stay because she's going through a breakup and she doesn't have a ton of money. So she moves in with Ryan and into his like nice apartment, and he is like the basketball player. Like, imagine the like most famous basketball player ever. That is him. I don't know who that is, so you tell me. And they do have to fake date like a little bit. It's not like the most like intense fake dating I've ever seen, but they do have to fake date a little bit, which I thought was really cute. And again, the reasoning for that was like, I could maybe see it happening, but yeah. And I just really loved Ryan Shea especially. I feel like in this book especially, we got so deep into his head and learned so much about him and his thought processes and just the things he went through. Whereas I feel like with other romance books, we don't usually get that deep into the guy's brain, but I loved him. I'll become a basketball girly for you, Ryan Shea. I loved their romance too. At first, I was kind of not really connecting to the main girl because I felt like it was more Ryan centered, but in the end, I mean, I love Ryan Shea. I really enjoyed the storyline of this because I just really enjoy sports romances, like the traveling, the games, the practice, the like just vibes. And I hate sports in real life, so that's very interesting. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then Indy works for the hockey team that is in Mile High, so I really like seeing those characters too. There's one guy especially that I love so much, and I just felt like the side characters in this book too really made it because the characters just have such good friends in this, and I really loved their like friend group and the people they associated with. So that is The Right Move, an incredible book. I love their romance so much. They're both just like such like good characters. I feel like they're so unique and I love them. And then I read Lynn Painter's new release, Happily Never After. This book was just a great time. It was less than 300 pages and just so much fun and just such a quick read. I binged this so quickly. So I gave this one a 3.5 stars because I really enjoyed it and I felt like it was so much fun and just such a unique idea. But I can't really rate it any higher because I don't really think about this and it's not like a super memorable book, but I could see myself rereading this if I want like just a fluffy, lighthearted, funny book. The main premise of this is so unique, and Lynn Painter, I feel like she does such a good job coming up with like whether that be like a side plot or just like the main idea of her books. But this one is our main girl, Sophie. She is at her wedding on the altar, and then someone objects to her wedding, and it is Max who is our main guy in this because Sophie's relationship was crap. Basically, he cheated on her and all of that. So Max is the objector, and then later on in the book they become friends and start working together to object other weddings for people who like want out of the wedding but don't want to call it off themselves for whatever reason that may be. So I thought this was so fun. Just the whole like wedding setting was super fun, and when they crashed the weddings it was hilarious and just so entertaining, and there was so many different like types of weddings they went to and it was so fun. But again, it's not something I'll think about forever, but it was such a fun time. And with that, 3.5 stars to her. Okay, you guys, this next book, I read it. This is my first Gabrielle Zevin book. I really want to read Tomorrow now because this was such a fun time. But The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry, I think it's like a 4 to 5 star. I think I'm gonna go with a 4.25, but also I feel like it could be a 4.5. I don't really know for sure because when I was reading this, I just felt every emotion possible and I loved it so much and just felt just so connected to this world and these characters. And I was literally sobbing at the end. There's gonna be video footage of it out in an upcoming video if you wanna see me cry on the internet. But after finishing this, I haven't really thought about it much, honestly. So I think we're gonna go with a 4.25 because while I was reading this, I loved it so much and it made me feel a lot of emotion. I feel like there's just a lot of good life lessons in this and I really want to watch the movie. Did we know that Lucy Hale's in this movie? Did we know? She is in so many like book adaptation movies. I love that. Anyways, I've loved her since she was in Pretty Little Liars. I'm sorry. Like, I was a Pretty Little Liars bitch. That was my show. Anyways, this story basically follows AJ Fickery, and he has a bookstore in this like small town in Maine. That could be wrong. He has this like super rare book of like short story poem things, and it gets stolen. Like, that book was worth so much money. He was like obviously upset about it. And then later in that like same week, I think it is, something really surprising and life impacting happens to him. I'm not gonna say what because it's not on the back of the book, and I didn't know that going into it, so I'm not gonna spoil. And that whole storyline you follow is just so interesting. There's just so many different vibes of this book. There's mystery aspects, family dynamics, there's just friendships, there's just so much like character development too you see in this book, and there's so many like side characters I really was invested into, and just so many little aspects to the plot that are so interesting and sweet. And I really enjoyed this story, and I thought it was really unlike anything I've ever read. So if you have any recs like this, or just your fave like lit fic, general fiction books, please let me know, because I really want to read more books like this, because I feel like they can just be really impactful. But yeah, this one was so good. And it was really funny too. At some parts it was just funny, like the humor in this got me. And then I read The Bodyguard. You guys, we just had some bangers this month. This has been on my shelf for probably 2 years now, and I've always been like, I know I'm gonna love this book, but I've never got around to reading it because it is everything I like. This book basically follows our main girl. Yes, I'm looking for her name. Hannah, and she is a bodyguard actually, and the main guy Jack, he's this like super famous actor, and Hannah's like organization that she works for gets hired to be his bodyguard, and she kind of has to play the role of like the one who's like most directly with him, and eventually they do have to fake date. Sorry, I love fake dating. I'm sorry, like all of the romances I've read in the last like 2 months have been fake dating. That's funny. This was really cute because I haven't read anything like this, and just the whole storyline of him being a famous actor and just like in the spotlight was really interesting to me. And you get also, he's in town for his mom because she is sick. Like, he wants to be there for her, obviously. His parents live on this like small towny ranch with acres and acres of land. Like, there's like water, there's like horses, there's literally everything you can imagine on this land. And just like that whole setting was so interesting because you get like the celebrity aspect, but you also get the like small town ranch country lifestyle, which I really enjoyed the mix of those two. And this book, there was just so much going on too. Our main character is just getting out of a breakup, and she actually works with her ex, so their whole dynamic at work was just so entertaining to read, because I'm like, I could not do that if I were you, girl. Like, go off. And some of the coworkers she works with were absolutely hilarious. Like, I was laughing out loud. Again, you'll see clips of that coming soon. But it was so much fun, and the end of this book was actually insane. Like, I did not see that coming, but it was so interesting to read about, and I really recommend this book. There's no spice in it, so if that's your jam. I ended up giving this one a 4.25. Again, it was so enjoyable, but not quite the 5-star feeling, you know what I mean? You guys, can I get a round of applause for this next book? I cannot believe I read this. I genuinely thought that this was gonna sit on my shelf forever, and I was never gonna finish this series. I so finished the Shatter Me series after a year of trying to get through it. I think I'm gonna give this 3 stars, which I feel like is honestly pretty generous, because I feel like I spend a lot of my breath ranting about this series and how annoyed I have become at it since book 4 and on. I just kind of really lost motivation to finish this series and lost like an urge to read it, and I stopped really caring. So this one was basically just a very extended epilogue chapter, as in this whole book took place in like 2 days, maybe a span of 2 days, and it took this long. I felt like, I mean, this is a common theme with my thinking towards the whole like second half of the series, but this book was just so dragged out. But that's not to say, like, if you like the Shatter Me series, amazing, I can see why. But for me personally, the like second half of the series really kind of lost me, honestly. I just started to get annoyed with some little things by it. I still enjoyed this one. I thought it was just a great way to wrap up the whole massive series that is the Shatter Me series, and I thought it was really cute. There were some cute funny moments in this book, but nothing too memorable for me. It was entertaining though, and kind kind of funny, and I did want to see what happened. I did enjoy this series, and there were some characters especially that I liked in this one, and I felt like this was just a good way to wrap it up and get some closure on some things. I feel like it ended at like a good point. This was cute. It was an okay time. Was I wishing it would be over? Yes, but that is okay. Again, no hate to anyone who loves this series. It lost me at the second half of the series. I'm not gonna lie. Oh my gosh, good morning, besties. Clearly, I just woke up, but I had to update and tell you guys that I finished Half a Soul. We went with a 3-star for this book. Honestly, I had really high expectations for this one because a lot of people who I feel like I have similar taste with rated it really highly, but I don't really know like even what happened. I just couldn't really get fully into the story, and I wasn't like obsessed with the romance or the characters, and I thought it was really interesting, but honestly it was a really short book, like maybe too short. I didn't really feel like the pacing was necessarily too fast or that like stuff got skipped over, but I feel like maybe we could have added some more scenes with the characters together, or just like gave a little bit more, because a lot did happen in 230 pages. Like literally the real book was like 240 pages, and then we got like a short story for the last like 50 pages. So that's just like a really short amount of time for characters to meet, fall in love, and for just all the fantasy stuff to happen. But I did enjoy it. I was having fun reading it, and I really liked the vibes of it because it's like a old-timey kind of Regency book where they like talk super properly and go to balls and everything. And I actually really liked that aspect because I felt like our main girl, she did talk really properly, but I felt like how she talked still had like a little snarkiness to it, and she was just really good at articulating sentences, and it makes me feel like I am an idiot. But yeah, and I did enjoy the premise of the book. It was kind of confusing, like some of the fantasy aspects, or that could just be me. The idea that she only has half a soul because like the fairy guy took it, that part was kind of interesting to me, and I felt like a tiny bit underdeveloped. I know it is a series. I don't know if I'll continue the series, honestly, because I feel like I heard Rachel say she hadn't heard the best things about the next book, so I'm not sure. I'll have to do my own digging. But yeah, that's probably the last book I'm gonna finish. I'm about done with Hunting Prince Dracula, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna finish it. So, and then even if I do, it probably won't be in this video because I need to start editing so bad. Anyways, bye. Thank you guys so much for watching my little wrap-up section. Please let me know down below what your favorite book of the month was. I would love to add it to my TBR, or if I already own it, read it. Please let me know, and I will see you guys next time. Some very exciting videos coming soon. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.